I was just a poor village girl with a bucket of water. Until a stranger whispered my name and turned my life into $1 million miracle. You won't believe what happened next. Before we continue, please subscribe, like and share this video to support more powerful African stories like this. Thank you so much. I grew up in a village where the sun doesn't just shine, it bites. It was a place where the dust stays on your feet like a second skin. My father, Lyric, was a good man, but he was a poor man. When he died, I was only 5 years old. I remember the day they buried him. The ground was hard and the air was dry. My mother, Violet, held my hand so tight it hurt. From that day, the laughter in our small hut died with him. Being poor in a village is a special kind of pain. It's not just that you don't have money. It's that you don't have hope. Every morning, I would wake up on a mat that was so thin I could feel every rock in the earth beneath me. My stomach would growl, a loud sound, and I would look at my mother. She would try to hide her face so I wouldn't see her crying. She was training me, as we say. She tried to teach me how to be a woman of virtue, even when we had nothing. Amelia, she would say, your clothes are torn, but your heart must be clean. I didn't understand then. I just wanted a new dress. I just wanted to go to school. I loved the sound of the school bell. Ding-ling-ling. To me, that sound meant a better future. But one day, the headmaster called me out in front of everyone. Amelia, he said, your mother has not paid the fees for 2 terms. Go home. That walk home was the longest walk of my life. I saw my friends sitting at their desks, holding their pencils, and I was walking into the hot sun. I cried until my eyes were red. When I got home, my mother just hugged me. We didn't even have to speak. We both knew the dream of school was over for now. But I didn't want to sit around and do nothing. I told my mother, Mama, let me learn work. In our village, if you can't go to school, you must learn a trade. Chose hair. I loved the way the older girls could take a messy head of hair and turn it into something beautiful. I thought, if I can make people beautiful, maybe my life will become beautiful too. But before I could go to the salon to learn, I had to do all the work at home. I was the one to sweep the whole compound. I was the one to wash the pots that had black soot on the bottom from the firewood. And most importantly, I was the one to fetch the water. Our house didn't have a tap. Nobody in the village had a tap. We had the stream. The stream was the heartbeat of the village, but it was a long, lonely walk through the bushes to get there. Every morning I would put the yellow plastic bucket on my head and start my journey. The sun would be coming up, turning the sky orange and purple. I would talk to myself as I walked. Amelia, you will be someone one day. Amelia, you will build a house for your mother. I was dreaming big dreams in a very small world. I didn't know that on this specific morning, the person who would answer those dreams was waiting for me by the water. Usually I hear the birds singing tweet-tweet, but today the air was very still, waiting for something to happen. I walked past the big iroko tree and the place where the boys play football in the sand. When I arrived at the stream, the water was clear and cool. I saw the usual people. Some women were washing clothes, hitting them against the rocks, thwack, thwack, and gossiping about whose daughter was getting married. I usually just dip my bucket and leave. I don't like to gossip. My mother taught me that a leaking mouth leads to a leaking life. As I was about to dip my bucket, I saw her. She was sitting on a flat stone near the edge of the water. She was an old woman. When I say old, I mean she looked like she was made of the earth itself. Her skin was wrinkled like a dry leaf, and her hair was as white as the clouds. She had a small metal bucket, indented. I watched her for a moment. She tried to stand up, using a wooden stick for balance. Her legs were shaking. Tremble. She reached for her bucket, which was now full of water. Water is heavy. A full bucket of water feels like carrying a bag of cement on your head if you aren't strong. She gripped the handle with her thin fingers. Her veins were popping out on her hands. She tried to lift it to her head, but she failed. The water splashed out, soaking her old wrapper. She sighed. It was a sound of deep tiredness. It was the sound of someone who had been struggling for a very long time. Just then, a group of young women from the village walked by. They were carrying their own buckets, laughing and swinging their hips. They saw the old woman. Did they help?
Well,
One of them, a girl named Jen who always thought she was better than everyone because her father had a motorcycle, laughed out loud. "Look at this old woman," Jen said, pointing her finger. "Mama, why are you here alone? Where are your children? They must have run away because you are a wicked mother. Only a woman with a bad spirit is left alone at the stream at this age." The other girls giggled and walked away. The old woman didn't say anything. She just looked down at her feet. She looked so small. She looked like the world had forgotten her. My heart began to burn. You know that feeling when you see something wrong and your chest feels hot? That was me. I remembered my mother telling me, "Amelia, never look down on anyone unless you are helping them up." I looked at my own empty bucket. I was in a hurry. I had to go to the salon to learn how to braid. If I was late, my boss would shout at me. But I couldn't leave her. I just couldn't. I walked over to the stone where she was sitting. The other women at the stream were watching me. They were whispering, "Why is Amelia going to talk to that old woman? Doesn't she know we have work to do?" I ignored them. I reached the woman and knelt down a little, the way we show respect in our land. "Mama," I said softly. She didn't look up at first. "Mama, why are you fetching water by yourself? You don't have anyone at home to help you." She slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were not like the eyes of an old person. They were bright. They were deep. They looked like they could see inside my soul. "No, my daughter," she whispered. "I am all alone." I felt a tear prick my eye. "Don't worry, Mama," I said. "I am here now. I will help you." The old woman looked at me with a tiny smile. It wasn't a big, toothy grin, but a soft look of surprise. "You will help me?" she asked. "But your friends have gone. You will be late for whatever you are doing." I shook my head. "My work can wait, Mama. But you cannot carry this heavy load alone. It's too much for your bones." I put my own bucket down on the sand. I took her dented metal bucket and dipped it into the stream. I made sure it was full to the top. Then I took my own wrapper and rolled it into a ring to place on my head. We call it oka. I lifted her bucket. It was heavy. Even for a young girl like me, I balanced it on my head perfectly. Then I picked up my own empty bucket with my hand. "Okay, Mama," I said, feeling the water settle on my head. "Show me the way. I will follow you to your house." She stood up slowly, leaning on her stick. Tap, tap, tap went the stick on the dry ground. But instead of turning back toward the main village where all the houses are, she started walking toward the bush. It is thick with tall grass and big mahogany trees. People say spirits live there. People say if you wander too deep, you might not come back the same. "Mama," I called out, "are you sure this is the way? The village is behind us." She didn't stop. She just kept walking with a strength I didn't see before. "My house is just a little further, Amelia," she said. Froze. My heart started beating like a drum. Boom, 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 boom. I hadn't told her my name. We had never met before. How did this old woman, who I just met at the stream, know that my name was Amelia? Maybe I told her. No, I searched my mind. I definitely didn't tell her. I felt a cold chill run down my spine, even though the sun was hot. I looked at her back. She was walking faster now. Her stick wasn't even touching the ground every time. She was moving smoothly through the tall grass. "Mama," I said, my voice shaking a little. "Is like your house is very far. We have been walking for a long time." The bushes were getting thicker. I could no longer hear the sounds of the other women at the stream. I couldn't hear the goats or the chickens from the village. All I could hear was the sound of my own breathing and the rustle of the leaves. I started to get scared. Was she a witch? In our stories, witches take young girls into the forest to steal their shadows. I thought about dropping the bucket and running. But then I looked at her old, thin frame. She looked so fragile. Thought, "Amelia, be brave. You are doing a good thing. God will protect you." We walked for another 10 minutes. The path was almost gone now. We were surrounded by green leaves and the smell of damp earth. Suddenly, the old woman stopped. She didn't turn around. She just stood there perfectly still. "We are here," she said. I looked around. There was no house. There was no hut. There was only a big, beautiful tree with flowers that looked like gold. "Mama, I don't see your house," I said, my heart jumping into my throat. She slowly turned around to face me. When she turned around, she didn't look like a tired old woman anymore. Her back was straight. Her eyes were glowing, not like a fire but like a soft light. She looked at me with so much love it made me want to cry. "Amelia," she said again. Her voice sounded like it was coming from the trees and the wind at the same time. "You are wondering how I know your name. You are wondering why I brought you here." I couldn't speak. I was just holding that bucket of water on my head, staring at her. "Many people pass me every day," she continued. "They see an old, broken woman. They see someone who is useless to the world. They laugh. They think that because I am poor and old I have no value. Even those who are good people just walk past and say a quick prayer, but they don't stop. They are too busy with their own lives." She took a step toward me. I didn't move. I wasn't scared anymore. A strange peace had come over me. "But you," she said, reaching out to touch my cheek. Her hand felt warm like the sun. "You saw my struggle. You felt my pain in your own heart. You dropped your own work, the work that puts food in your mouth, to help a stranger who could give you nothing in return. You carried my load through the bush without complaining." She laughed softly. "People think I am a wicked mother because my children are not here. Amelia, my children are the stars and the rain. I am not of this world, but I watch this world." I whispered, Are you an angel?" She didn't answer directly. She just pointed to the bucket on my head. "That water you are carrying. Go home with it. Do not use it to wash clothes. Do not throw it away. Take it to your mother, Violet. Tell her everything you saw today." Then she looked deep into my eyes, and I felt like she was reading every dream I ever had. "Because you have a good heart, Amelia, you will never suffer again. As long as water cannot finish in the river, your wealth will never finish. You and your mother will be millions." I was confused. "Millions? Mama, we are just village people. We don't even have school fees." "Wealth is not just money," she said. "But money will come. It is for a while that God allows the good to suffer, just to see if they will stay good. You have passed your test. But listen to me carefully. When the wealth comes, do not let it change who you are. Do not become like Jen at the stream. Do not look down on the poor. Stay as the girl who helped an old woman in the bush." "I promise, Mama," I said, tears streaming down my face. "Now go," she said. "Go home to your mother. Your life starts today." I blinked my eyes for just 1 second, and my beautiful people, she was gone. Just like that. The spot where she stood was empty. The stick she was leaning on was gone. Only the smell of sweet flowers remained in the air. I was standing alone in the middle of the bush with a bucket of water on my head. I didn't wait. I didn't look back. I turned around and I started to run. I ran through the thick grass. I ran past the big mahogany tree. I didn't care about the thorns scratching my legs. I didn't care about the heat. I just kept hearing her voice in my head. "As long as water cannot finish in the river, your wealth will never finish." I reached the edge of the village. People were looking at me. "Amelia, why are you running like a mad person?" someone shouted. I didn't answer. I didn't have time for them. I ran straight. Our compound was a small space with 2 mud huts. One for me and my mother, and the other was empty and falling apart. My mother was outside, sitting on a low stool, picking stones out of a small bowl of beans. We only had enough beans for 1 meal. "Mama! Mama!" I screamed as I burst into the yard. My mother jumped up, spilling the beans on the ground. "Amelia, what is it? Did a snake bite you? Why are you screaming like this?" I reached her and carefully took the bucket off my head. I was breathing hard, my chest going heave-ho, heave-ho. "Mama, sit down. You won't believe what happened at the stream." I sat on the ground at her feet and told her everything. I told her about the old woman. I told her how I carried the water into the bush. I told her how the woman knew my name and my father's name. And finally I told her the prophecy. My mother's face went through so many colors. First she was pale with fear. Then her eyes went wide with wonder. When I finished, she looked at the dented metal bucket. The water inside was shimmering. Didn't look like regular stream water. It looked brighter. Like there was sunlight trapped inside. "Amelia," my mother whispered, her voice trembling. My mother told me stories like this. She told me that sometimes the ancestors or the angels come down to see who is still human. She told me that kindness is a key that opens doors we cannot see. She knelt down right there in the dirt. She put her hands on the ground. "God of our land," she prayed, "if this is your work, we thank you. We have suffered for too long. If you have sent an angel to my daughter because of her heart, let your will be done." She stood up and looked at the bucket. "We must keep this water. We will put it in our big drum inside the house. It is a blessing." We both carried the bucket into the small, dark room where we slept. We poured it into our old clay drum. As the water hit the bottom, it made a sound like a silver bell. Ting! We stood there in the silence, just me and my mother, looking at a drum of water. We were still in a mud hut. But for the first time in 10 years, the air in our house didn't feel heavy with sadness. Felt light, like something was coming. And we didn't have to wait long. Because just as we walked back outside to pick up the spilled beans, we heard a sound that this village had never heard before. It was the sound of a powerful engine. Vroom! A big, black Jeep, the kind only kings and presidents drive, was turning into our dusty little street. My people, in a place where even a bicycle is a big deal, a black Jeep is like a spaceship landing from the moon. The tires were so big, and the glass was so dark you couldn't see who was inside. It kicked up a cloud of red dust that covered our small fence. The children in the neighborhood started running after it, shouting, "Motor! Motor!" The Jeep stopped right in front of our broken wooden gate. My mother, Violet, stood frozen. She was still holding the bowl of beans. I stood behind her, my heart beating like a trapped bird. Thump thump, thump thump. We were afraid. In our world, when a big man in a big car comes to a poor person's house, it usually means trouble. Thought maybe they want to take our land. Maybe we owe someone money we don't know about. The door of the Jeep opened slowly. A man stepped out. He was wearing a suit that was so sharp it looked like it could cut paper. His shoes were shining like mirrors. Even the dust seemed afraid to touch him. He took off his sunglasses and looked around our small compound. His eyes rested on my mother. "Good afternoon," he said. His voice was deep and smooth like honey. My mother found her voice, though it was shaking. "Good afternoon, sir. How can we help you? We are just poor people here." The man smiled. "Is this the house of Lyric?" he asked. When my mother heard my father's name, she almost dropped the bowl. "Yes," she whispered. "Lyric was my husband. But he has been gone for many years now. He died when our daughter was small." The man nodded slowly. He looked at me, then back at her. "My name is Mr. Benson," he said. "I am a lawyer from the city. I have been searching for this family for a long time. It was not easy to find this small village, let me tell you." "Searching for us?" I asked, stepping out from behind my mother. "Why would a big man like you be looking for us?" Mr. Benson looked at me and smiled. "Because, young lady, your father Lyric was not just a village man. Many years ago, before he moved back here, he did a very great favor for a man who became very, very successful. He saved that man's life during a storm. That man never forgot him. He spent years trying to find Lyric to pay him back, but your father had moved away and passed on." My mother sat down on her stool because her legs could no longer carry her. "Lyric never told me," she said. "He was a humble man," Mr. Benson said. "The man he saved died last month. In his will, he left a very large portion of his wealth to the family of Lyric. I am the executor of that will. I am here to deliver what belongs to you. I looked at the jeep. I looked at the man. Then I remembered the old woman at the stream. God must send angels, maybe like human beings, to see them through. My head was spinning. This was happening so fast. Just an hour ago I was crying because I couldn't pay school fees. Now, a lawyer in a suit was talking about a large portion of wealth. It felt like I was dreaming with my eyes wide open. The driver came out and opened the trunk. He pulled out a heavy black bag. It was a big, strong bag with a thick zipper. He carried it into our small yard and placed it on the wooden table where my mother usually cuts vegetables. In this bag, Mr. Benson said, is the first part of your inheritance. This is the cash he wanted you to have immediately to change your life. The rest, the properties, the stocks, and the businesses, we will handle when you come to the city. My mother looked at the bag like it was a bomb. Cash? She asked. Open it, Amelia, Mr. Benson said to me. I walked to the table. My hands were trembling so much I could barely grab the zipper. Pulled it open. My people, I have never seen anything like it. Money in small notes. 1 naira, 5 naira, maybe 100 if it was a wedding. But this bag was stuffed with green paper. Thick bundles of it. Each bundle was wrapped in plastic. What is this? My mother asked, her eyes wide. This is not our money. It is American dollars, Mr. Benson explained. It is the strongest currency. In this bag alone, there is enough to buy this whole village and the next one too. It is all yours. No one can take it from you. Your father's kindness from 20 years ago has finally come home to his wife and daughter. I reached in and touched one of the bundles. Felt real. Smelled like new paper and something else. It smelled like freedom. I looked at my mother and we both started to cry. We didn't cry because we were sad. We cried because the weight of being poor was finally lifting off our shoulders. We cried for all the nights we went to bed hungry. We cried for the school fees. For the school fees I couldn't pay. We cried because we knew Lyric was watching for heaven smiling. Mr. Benson handed my mother a thick folder of papers. These are the documents. You need to sign here. Tomorrow my driver will come back to take you to the city. You cannot stay here with this much money. It is not safe. I have already arranged a hotel for you. My mother looked at our small mud hut. She looked at the old pots and the dusty floor. We are leaving. Yes, Mama, I said, grabbing her hand. We are leaving the struggle behind. But first we have to be wise. My mother stood up and wiped her eyes. Suddenly, she wasn't the tired village woman anymore. She looked like a queen. Amelia is right, she said to the lawyer. We will be ready. But tonight we must thank the God who saw us in our secret pain. Mr. Benson bowed his head. I will leave you now. My driver will be here at 8 a.m. sharp. Don't tell anyone about the money in the bag. Just pack your clothes and be ready. As the jeep drove away, the dust settled again. But our lives were no longer dusty. We carried the bag inside and locked the door, even though our lock was just a piece of bent wire. We sat on the floor in the dark, staring at the bag. That night was the longest night of my life. We didn't turn on the lantern. We didn't want anyone to see light in our house and come knocking. In the village, news travels faster than a bird flies. People already saw the jeep. They were already whispering. Mama, I whispered in the dark. Is this real? Did the old woman do this? My mother was silent for a long time. I could hear her breathing. Amelia, she said. The old woman was the messenger. She came to see if we were still worthy of the blessing your father planted years ago. If you had been mean to her, maybe that jeep would have driven right past our house. Maybe the lawyer would have never found us. I thought about Jen and the other girls at the stream. If they had helped the old woman, would the jeep have gone to their house instead? It made me realize that kindness is like a seed. You plant it today and you might forget about it. But the ground never forgets. The rain will fall, and one day it will grow into a tree that gives you shade when you are burning. We decided we couldn't take much with us. What did we have? Torn clothes, old plastic plates, We leave it all, my mother decided. We only take our memories and this bag. We will give our old things to the neighbors who were kind to us. But we had one thing we had to protect. The drum of water. Amelia, my mother said, the woman told you the wealth would last as long as the water doesn't finish. We cannot leave the drum here. But Mama, we can't carry a whole clay drum to the city. It will break in the car. My mother thought for a moment. She was a wise woman, like I told you. We will take a small bottle, she said. We will fill it with the water from the drum. Every time we build a new house or start a new business, we will put a drop of this water there. It will be our symbol. I found an old glass soda bottle and washed it carefully. We dipped it into the drum. The water was still cool and sparkling, even in the dark. I corked it tight and wrapped it in my best cloth. We didn't sleep at all. Every time a dog barked, we jumped. Every time the wind blew against the thatch roof, we thought it was a thief. We held each other and waited for the sun to come up. I kept thinking about my father, Lyric. I wished he was there to see us. I wished I could tell him that his daughter was going to be a lady. As the first light of morning started to peek through the cracks in the wall, I felt a change in me. I wasn't the hairdresser's apprentice anymore. I wasn't the poor orphan girl. I was Amelia, the girl with the golden future. I looked at my hands. They were the same hands that fetched water yesterday, but today they were going to change the world. I wanted to leave our home clean. But as I stepped out, I saw that a crowd had gathered at a distance. Our neighbors, Auntie Agnes, Old Man Samuel, and even Jen's mother, were all standing there, staring at our hut. Amelia! Auntie Agnes called out. She was the village gossip. We saw a big car here yesterday. Who was that man? Is he your husband from the city? Did he come to take you away? I just smiled and kept sweeping. He was a friend of my father, Auntie. Just a friend. A friend with a jeep. Jen's mother shouted. My daughter said she saw you at the stream with a strange old woman. She said you were acting like a crazy person talking to the air. Is it that woman who sent the man? I stopped sweeping and looked at her. I thought about how her daughter Jen had mocked the old woman. I felt a little bit of pity for them. The same chance I had, but they threw it away because they wanted to look cool and important by stepping on someone else. Mama says we should always be kind to strangers, I said simply. You never know who you are talking to. Just then, the black jeep appeared at the end of the road. The crowd gasped. They all moved back as the car pulled up to our gate. The driver got out and opened the back door. My mother walked out of the hut. She was wearing her only good wrapper, the one she saved for funerals and weddings. She held her head high. I followed her, carrying my small bag of clothes and the precious bottle of water. I also had the black bag of money hidden inside a bigger, scruffy-looking sack so nobody would know what it was. Are you ready, ladies? The driver asked. We are ready, my mother said. As I climbed into the soft leather seat of the jeep, I saw Jen standing at the back of the crowd. Her eyes were full of jealousy. She looked like she wanted to cry. I wanted to stick my tongue out at her. But then I remembered the old woman's warning. Do not let the wealth change you. Still be a good person. Instead of mocking her, I rolled down the window. I took a small loaf of bread we had left over and handed it to a little boy standing near the car. Eat well, okay? Said. The engine roared to life. We started to move. I looked out the back window as my house got smaller. The mud walls, the dusty yard, the place where I grew up. It was all becoming a memory. We were heading to the big town. We were heading to a life we only saw in movies. Mama, I said, feeling the air conditioning hit my face. We are really doing this. My mother took my hand. No, Amelia. God is doing this. We are just walking the path. When we finally reached the big town, my head was dizzy. The noise. Beep beep. Honk honk. People were everywhere, walking fast, talking on shiny phones. It was so different from the quiet peace of the village. Mr. Benson was waiting for us at a big hotel. When I say big, I mean this hotel was like a palace. There were men at the door in uniforms who opened the door for us. I felt ashamed of my dusty feet, But they didn't seem to care. They treated us like we were the owners of the place. "Welcome to your new life," Mr. Benson said, meeting us in the lobby. He took us to a suite. I didn't even know what that word meant. It was a room that was bigger than our whole house in the village. There was a television on the wall as big as a window. The beds were so white and soft I was afraid to sit on them. I thought my dark skin would leave a mark. "The first thing we do," Mr. Benson said, "is go to the bank. We need to deposit that cash and set up your accounts. Then we go shopping. You cannot go to the lawyer's meeting in those clothes." We went to a bank that looked like it was made of gold and a woman with a future. My mother got a lace outfit that made her look 10 years younger. But the most important thing happened that evening. We were sitting in the hotel restaurant, eating food that tasted like heaven. A waiter came by. He was a young man and he looked very tired. As he was serving us, he tripped a little and spilled a drop of water on the table. He turned pale. "I am so sorry, madam. Please don't tell the manager. I need this job to pay for my brother's medicine." My mother looked at him. She didn't shout. She reached out and touched his hand. "It's okay, my son. It is just water. Everyone makes mistakes." She took $100 bill from her new purse, something she would have never dreamed of doing before, and handed it to him. "Take this for your brother. Keep working hard." The waiter started to cry. He thanked us 1,000 times. When he left, I looked at my mother and smiled. "Yes," my mother said. "The money is in our pocket, Amelia. But it is not in our heart. That is how we stay rich." Life in the city was like living in a movie. But while my mother was busy with Mr. Benson learning about investments and stocks, I had one thing on my mind: my education. You see, money can buy you a big car, but it cannot buy you what is inside your head. I told my mother, "Mama, I don't want to just be a rich girl. I want to be a smart girl." I wanted to go back to school so bad it hurt. But I was older than the girls in the grade I left. I was 18 and I was supposed to be in a high class, but I had missed so many years because of those school fees. We found a private school that was very beautiful. It had green grass and a library that smelled like old paper and magic. The principal was a woman named Mrs. Gable. She looked at my records and then looked at me. "Amelia," she said, "you are behind. The girls your age are getting ready for university. You might have to start in a lower class. Are you okay with that?" I looked her in the eye. I remembered carrying that bucket of water through the bush. If I could do that, I could do this. "Mrs. Gable," I said, "I don't care if I sit with children. I will study harder than anyone. Just give me the books." And I did. I spent my nights in that big fancy hotel room, sitting on the floor, because the floor always felt more like home, reading by the light of a golden lamp. I studied math, I studied English, and I studied science. My mother would watch me and shake her head. "Amelia, you have millions now. Why are you stressing your brain?" "Mama," I would say, the old woman said God sends angels to help us. But I think God also wants us to help ourselves. If I'm going to help the poor people in our village, I need to know how the world works. I don't want anyone to cheat us because we are village people. My mother smiled. She knew I was right. She started her own business too, a big company that imports high-quality fabrics. But every morning before she left for her office, we would both take a tiny drop from our miracle bottle and touch our foreheads. It reminded us where we came from. It reminded us of the dust. The first few months at school were hard. Some of the girls laughed at me. They saw my expensive car drop me off, but they heard my village accent when I spoke. They would whisper, "Look at the new money girl. She probably doesn't even know how to use a computer." I didn't fight them. I just opened my books. I remembered the old woman's words. Having a good heart is not weakness, it is strength. I decided I would win them over with my results and my kindness, not my money. I was coming home from school when I saw a group of homeless children sleeping under a bridge. The city is full of them. In the village we were poor, but everyone had a roof, even if it was made of grass. Here in the big town, if you are poor, you are invisible. Broke my heart. I went home and I couldn't eat my fancy dinner. What is the problem, Amelia? My mother asked. The chef made your favorite jollof rice. Mama, I said, we are living in a palace, but there are children sleeping on the street just 10 minutes from here. The old woman told us to stay good people. How can we be good if we have so much and they have nothing? My mother put down her fork. She looked at me for a long time. You are your father's daughter, she said softly. Lyric would have said the same thing. What do you want to do? I want to start a secret mission, I said. I don't want cameras. I don't want to be on the news. I want to buy food and blankets, and I want us to give them out ourselves. So that's what we did. Twice a week we would take our big Jeep, the one that used to make me feel like a queen, and we would fill it with bags of rice, bread, and warm clothes. We didn't wear our silk dresses. At first, the street children were afraid of us. They thought we were the police coming to move them away. But I walked up to a little girl who looked just like I did when I was 5. I knelt in the dirt. I am Amelia, I said. I brought you some bread. Are you hungry? She took the bread with shaking hands. She ate it so fast it made me cry. For the next 3 hours, me and my mother served everyone under that bridge. We didn't act like millionaires. One of the boys asked me, Sister, why are you doing this? Most rich people just roll up their windows when they drive past us. Because, I told him, I know what it feels like to have a stomach that screams for food. And I know that someone is watching how we treat each other. As we drove back to our mansion, my mother was very quiet. When we got inside, she went to her room and brought out the miracle bottle. She added a few drops of fresh water to it. The more we give, Amelia, the more the water seems to stay full, she whispered. I looked at the bottle. It was true. We had been using it for weeks, but it was still as full as the day we left the village. A year passed. I was doing so well in school that I jumped 2 grades. My mother's business was one of the biggest in the city. We had houses, we had cars, and we had respect. But our hearts were always pulling us back to the red dust. One day, a man came to our office in the city. He looked haggard and tired. It was the village head's secretary. When he saw my mother in her big office with the air conditioner and the leather chairs, he bowed so low his head almost touched the floor. Madam Violet, he said, please. The village is suffering. The stream where Amelia used to fetch water has dried up. A big company came and did some construction nearby, and now our water is gone. The crops are dying. People are getting sick. I stood up from my desk. The stream, the place where I met the angel, dried up. What about the people? Yes. They have to walk 5 miles now to the next village, the man said. Many are too weak. Jen's mother, the one who used to be so proud, she fainted yesterday from the heat. I looked at my mother. We didn't even have to say a word. We knew what we had to do. This was why we were given the money. It wasn't just for silk dresses. It was for a time like this. Go back, my mother told the man. Tell the village head that Violet and Amelia are coming. And tell them to get the shovels ready. We aren't just coming to give money. We are coming to bring life. We spent the next week hiring the best engineers in the country. We bought pipes, we bought pumps, and we bought a massive water tank. I told my school I needed a break for a family emergency. When the Jeep reached the village outskirts, it was different. It looked like the life had been sucked out of the land. My heart ached. This was the place that raised me, and it was dying. We pulled into the center of the village. Huge crowd was there. They didn't cheer at first. They just watched us. They saw me step out of the car. I was wearing a simple cotton dress, but I looked healthy and strong. Amelia, someone whispered. It's me, I said. And we brought help. Madam, you are a millionaire, the village head cried. You cannot dig in the dirt. Let the boys do it. No, my mother said. This soil is what my husband Lyric is made of. I am not too big for my own land. We showed the engineers where to dig. I led them to the spot near the old stream, near the big tree where the old woman had disappeared. Dig here, I said. For 2 days the machines roared. Chug chug chug. The whole village watched. Even Jen and her mother were there, standing at the back. They looked ashamed. They wouldn't look me in the eye. I went over to them with 2 bottles of cold water from our cooler. "Here," I said, handing them the bottles. "It's a hot day." Jen looked at the water, then at me. "Amelia, I am so sorry," she whispered. "The things I said to you. The way I treated that woman. I was foolish." I smiled at her. "The past is like the dust. General, let the wind blow it away. We are here to build a future." Suddenly, there was a loud shout from the engineers. "We hit it! We hit it!" A huge spray of water shot into the air. It was clear, it was cold, and it was beautiful. The children started screaming and dancing under the water. The old women were crying and lifting their hands to the sky. As the water flowed, I walked over to the new tank. I took out my miracle bottle. I unscrewed the cap and poured 1 tiny drop into the main tank. "May this water never run dry," I whispered. "And may the hearts of this village never be hard again." That night, the village threw a party. We sat on the ground and ate roasted yam and palm oil. It was the best meal I had ever had, better than any 5-star hotel. We were home. So, as I end this story for you today, I want to leave you with these words. Never stop being kind, even when the world is not kind to you. Having a good heart is not weakness. It is the greatest strength a human being can have. Help people when you can. Show love when you can. Give when you can. 'Cause life has a way of coming back around. One day, the same kindness you showed to a stranger at a stream might be the very thing that saves your life and changes your world forever. Thank you so much for watching this story to the end. If it touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more powerful African tales. Your support truly means everything to me. I appreciate every single one of you. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what part touched you the most? What lesson did you learn? I read your comments and they really encourage me. Also, let me know where you're watching from. See you in the next story. God bless you all. Bye.